Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Tuesday, December 7th, 2010, and I'm Darko. New listeners and viewers, please visit my website, www.ggnonline.com. That's ggnonline.com. I post all my new videos up there, plus there's some other information you can check out as well. But we're just leaving off with this last article here. Palestinians angry over new Israeli building plans. And it says here the Palestinians criticize an Israeli decision to push forward plans for 625 new homes in East Jerusalem, saying Thursday the project shows Israel has chosen settlements and not peace. We're going to move on to another article. It says here, Israel cause of Palestinian health woes. Tel Aviv's policies towards the Palestinian people have caused health problems for the residents of the besieged Gaza Strip, says the head of a group of Israeli medics. Says Ruchama Martin, head of Physicians for Human Rights Israel, said in a statement on Monday that the causes of health issues were often political in nature. Quote, as a human rights organization, we are by definition political, speaking out against violations of human rights perpetrated by the regime, Martin was quoted as saying by the AFP. She added that the people of Gaza are suffering from disease outbreaks like diarrhea because Israel denies the access to adequate water supplies. Tel Aviv has imposed a stringent blockade on the coastal enclave since 2007, severely hampering the upkeep of basic infrastructure. And we're going to move on here. Zionists control U.S. foreign policy. Renowned American author and veteran journalist Helen Thomas says the Zionists are in full control of the U.S. foreign policy and in its other institutions. Thomas, a former White House journalist, says Israel can never be scrutinized in the U.S. because Zionists are in control of the American foreign policy as well as its main institutions. Quote, I can call a president of the U.S. anything in the book, but I can't touch Israel, which has Jewish-only roads in the West Bank, Thomas said. The 90-year-old national columnist said the White House, Congress, Wall Street, and Hollywood are all owned by the Zionists. Goes on here, top Israeli rabbis don't sell property to non-Jews. Go back to this. I thought I had a different article from it. Okay, I found it. This is actually an AP article. I just didn't like the version of that last one. It didn't really look like a legitimate article, but it is, trust me. This is the Washington Post carrying an AP article. It says 36 top Israeli rabbis threw their support Tuesday behind a religious ruling barring Jews from selling or renting homes to non-Jews, an indication of growing radicalism within the rabbinical, I never pronounced that word before, community, at a time of mounting friction between Israeli Arabs and Jews. The action by the clerics, chief rabbis in some of Israel's largest cities and influential among the devout fueled charges of racism. And they just passed something recently in Israel that had to do with nationalism and being a Jew in Israel that was basically targeting non-Jews in Israel. So basically they had to adopt all of their philosophy in that. So it says in order to get citizenship. Has something to do with citizenship. But either way, we're going to move on here. Palestinians seek unilateral statehood recognition. The Palestinians' Plan B, an alternative to the elusive peace deal with Israel, is gradually taking shape. Convince as many countries as possible to recognize a Palestinian state in the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem, and use that to lobby the United States not to veto recognition by the UN Security Council. Oh, breaking news, Israel launches airstrikes on Gaza. The Israeli Air Force, I mean, it's not funny, it's crappy how obvious this stuff is. The Israeli Air Force has attacked the southern Gaza Strip, enlisting the services of military aircraft and unmanned spy planes, the report says. And, why is this, even more obvious? Well, because they said they were going to attack them. They were gearing up for an attack. And I cover this in my news videos within the past 2 to 3 weeks, where they came out and blatantly said they're gearing up for an attack. And the Palestinians. It says the warplanes carried out airstrikes on the city of Juan Juanes in the south, bombarding a chicken farm on Wednesday. A Press TV correspondent reported the aircraft, he said, continues to fly over the city. Israeli planes also attacked the city of Rafah, also in the south, targeting the tunnels beneath Gaza's border with Egypt. The tunnels are used to bring in direly needed supplies as Tel Aviv keeps up its mid-2007 present siege of the coastal sliver, depriving 1.5 million Gazans of food. fuel, and other necessities. U.S. soldier admits to sport killing. A U.S. military court has spared an American soldier from an early discharge from the U.S. Army after he admitted to shooting unarmed Afghan civilians for fun. Staff Sergeant Robert Stevens, 25, an Army medic from the state of Oregon, was only sentenced to 9 months in prison on Wednesday for killing Afghan civilians after pleading guilty. He confessed to opening fire on 2 Afghan farmers in March of 2010 for no apparent reason. He and other U.S. troops were acting on orders from a squad leader during a patrol in March, Reuters reported. So there you go. Next one up. Iran says UN agencies sending spies, not inspectors. Iran's intelligence minister accused the UN nuclear watchdog agencies of sending spies in the guise of inspectors to collect information about Iran's nuclear activities, state TV reported Saturday. The claim was another sign that Iran has hardened its stance since the assassination a week ago of a prominent nuclear scientist and the wounding of another. Iran is to hold talks beginning Monday in Geneva with world powers trying to persuade it to curtail elements of its nuclear work. So this next one up is Iran arrests suspect over a scientist murder. Iranian security has made a number of arrests in an assassination of a prominent nuclear scientist, the country's intelligence chief said Thursday. Intelligence Minister Masalehi said the arrests have given Iran's secret services, quote, new clues about people who are involved in the deadly attacks, which it blames on Western intelligence agencies. So this next one up here is War, no solution to Iran P5+1 talks. If you go down here, it says the comprehensive talks between Iran and the 6 world powers require good faith from the group, but those countries have been waging psychological warfare against Iran, political scientist Kavi Afrasiaba says. I'm trying to make the best attempt I can at pronouncing these names. Says here we need to see good faith before the talks. Unfortunately, we have not seen that because there has been a great deal of psychological warfare conducted against Iran, author and political scientist said, and he told Press TV. He says the U.S. has to show a great deal more flexibility and spirit of compromise for these talks to bear any fruit. Iranian officials, they said the United States is behind the deliberate leak. It goes on here from Spiegel. Iran has its own special take on the diplomatic cables recently published by Wikileaks. It says the presidential advisor, Rahim Mashe, assumes that the U.S. government leaked the documents itself. In an interview with the Spiegel Online, he says that Washington's goal is to play off the governments in the Middle East against one another. So, interesting news there. All the links will be posted. Former Pakistani general, CIA, Mossad behind WikiLeaks reports. A former Pakistani army commander said the disclosure of the classified documents by the whistleblower site of WikiLeaks is a U.S. plot to create rift among friendly and neighboring states. Now, if that's true, that means that this Julian Assange guy is really, or could be working for them. So, we'll just see about that. It says senators unveil anti-WikiLeaks bill. So in the wake of all this, Senator Insing, Lieberman, and Brown introduced a bill Thursday aimed at stopping WikiLeaks by making it illegal to publish the names of military or intelligence community informants. Next one up, U.S. tries to keep troops in Iraq away from the WikiLeaks. That's right. Anyone who works for the government cannot go on WikiLeaks anymore. The U.S. military in Iraq is trying to prevent soldiers from viewing WikiLeaks documents and has posted a web advisory suggesting that they could be breaking the law, a spokesman said on Saturday. Next one up is government forced to release docs on spying program. Last week's release of 900 pages of U.S. government documents dealing with the implementation of the nation's primary surveillance law suggests that the government has been systematically violating the privacy rights of U.S. citizens. Well, I'm not really all surprised of that. How many citizens, it is unclear since the documents were extensively redacted. The previously secret international documents were obtained through a court battle by the ACLU. Says the government declined to disclose the number of citizens who had their telephone calls, emails, or other communications intercepted under the FISA Amendment Act in 2008. They also declined to discuss any specific abuses, said the ACLU. Going to keep moving. Exclusive. Afghan officials free top Taliban fighters. Afghan security forces are freeing captured senior Taliban for payment or political motives, with President Hamid Karzai and his powerful brother among those authorizing and requesting releases. I've covered all this before about the U.S. and that paying the Taliban not to attack them. They're also paying the Pakistanis, which are then training and setting up camps and funding Taliban in Pakistan and Afghanistan to train them. So your money is going to fight the enemy. So you know, it's just kind of weird that, you know, the troops are all like, you know, hey, you know, quit freeing. Here we go up right here. Catch and release of Taliban fighters in Afghanistan angers the troops. Well, troops, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, if you do, I know you guys are busy over there, you know, fighting for our freedom and all that, but if you can kind of follow some of this news here, like this article I just read, well, yeah, that's why it's happening. I mean, you're doing all this work to, you know, to fight to keep us free, and you know, you have to kill people and civilians to do it. But you know, and then in the end, you see what's happening. They're letting them go. That's because it's all a sham, a fraud. So what you're fighting for is a fraud and a lie. And if I were you, I would just basically get myself out of there with an honorable discharge as quickly as you can, like I did. So. But it says, we're going to keep moving here. 1,000-man militia being trained in North Somalia and northern reaches of Somalia and the country's presidential palace. A well-equipped military force is being created, funded by a mysterious donor nation, that is also paying for the services of a former CIA and senior ex-U.S. diplomat. Says Somalia's anti-piracy plan concerns UN. So it says here, it's a good thing that Somalia is training an anti-piracy force, said Alan Coe, head of the anti-piracy program of the UN Office of Drugs and Crime. However, he noted that he wants to know the identity of the donor, the laws governing the force, and how recruits are screened. So he said 2 men previously working for the CIA and the State Department are said to be leading the plan, advising government about its implementation, the AP reported. Going to keep moving. U.S.-Japan launched joint war games. Japan and U.S. have launched the biggest ever joint military exercises off the Japan's southern islands near South Korea amid growing tensions in the Korean Peninsula. So the South Koreans start naval firing drills amid tension. So hey, who cares, right? I guess when you're kind of responsible for agitating and creating all of this stuff, right, you might as well follow it up. It says U.S. trains Mexican Marines in drug war, says a report. The U.S. is supplying intelligence and crucial training to elite units of Mexican Marines who are engaged in operation against the drug cartels / the government, right, because the drug cartels are the government, just like the corporations are the government up here in the U.S. And so, yeah, they're basically under the guise of the war on drugs, just like here in the United States that happened and started in the 70s, and that you're going to lose your rights and you're going to build up this police state. That's what it is. The war on drugs is building up the police state. Chicago police see spiking cop killings and assaults. Next one up. Feds now lead probe of police beating. Federal authorities are now leading to the investigation, and 3 Prince George County police officers who were caught on tape beating an unarmed University of Maryland student, and the federal officials made no secret of it this week by descending on the homes of about 40 officers who worked that night in the incident. Next one up. U.S. deploys game-changer weapon to Afghanistan. Pretty spooky stuff here, folks. Check this weapon out. To me, I tend to think that, or believe that, a lot of these weapons and this technology could have been unrolled 100 years ago. And the only reason that this type of technology is withheld is because they have to have the bullets. I mean, they could have lasers right now, but they don't. Why? Because it'll kill too many people. It'll be too easy. They don't want that. They want this shit to drag on forever and ever and ever. And, you know, that's my thing, is that in the Civil War, I bet they could have had, instead of those... I bet in the Revolutionary War they could have had bullets, and then in the Civil War they could have had, you know, all-out machine guns. I know they had the Gatling, but they could have all had machine guns. By World War II, they could have probably had lasers. And so you see what I'm saying? They do this for a reason. This next one up, exclusive, a controversial drug given to all Guantanamo detainees akin to pharmacological waterboarding. So it's a mefloquine, basically, is what they're giving them. These prisoners. Italian mafia ups attacks on reporters. That's like the Russians. A lot of reporters out there going up missing and dying. Haitians clash with police over elections. Well, is it about the elections? Yeah, they were trying to tell them to hold them. They're rigged elections. Haiti cholera toll surpasses 2,000 mark. Next one up. UN camp source of cholera in Haiti. UN camp source of cholera in Haiti. I already covered this, and now it's back in the news. French epidemiologists are saying the cholera outbreak has killed more than 2,000 people. Originated from the Nepalese camp from the UN peacekeepers. Says Haiti cholera likely from UN troops, the experts say. So now the experts are admitting it. Unauthorized U.S. strike kills 5 Pakistanis. Gates sees hard-won progress in Afghanistan. Sri Lanka war crime suspect gets post at the UN. Police arrested 12-year-old boy for refusing vaccine. SAS hit squads at UK malls. In Chicago, police will taser just about anyone. Thank you.